Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. I am super excited to share with you something that I did 14 years ago when I began building my home theater. And I'm also excited to share with you something that I should have done 14 years ago when I began building this home theater. Now, part of this video will be clips that I shared with my patrons over the past week as I began to make some pretty significant changes here in my home theater. Now, typically I don't share the videos that I post over on Patreon here on YouTube, but I thought that video content fits the narrative very well of what I've been doing over the past week for this video. And it'll also give you an idea of what type of content I produce over on Patreon and give those guys early access to things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm doing in my home theater, and even brands that I'm working with and products that I'm getting in for review. Now, enough talking, let me share with you what I've been up to. Hey, what's going on, patrons? Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I know I did. My son and his wife got married this past Saturday, so Friday and Saturday was just ridiculously crazy. Getting set up, getting the venue set up. Man, it was just wide open, so I haven't had a chance to do a whole lot. I had a friend of mine stay with us from Alabama. Really great friend. He and his wife and his daughter came down and stayed with us for a couple days, and they just left a few minutes ago. And here's some of the things that we have done in the theater room. It's about to change a little bit. I'm gonna turn this around, see if I can show you guys what's been happening. So right now we've got the front screen covered because tomorrow my brother-in-law is going to be painting this entire room. So that window up there, you guys have never really seen it open. It's just a kind of like a bay window. So that right out here, you can see there's some curtains that were installed up there. So I removed those. You can see my, it's probably gonna be hard to see. See if I can get a little bit better lighting over here. Maybe you can see that. But that's my surround sound speaker, just kind of chilling up there and floating in front of that double sliding glass window that leads out to the patio. So I removed the top rear speakers. See if I can turn this up for you guys. There we go. So I removed the speakers that were up there. I've got to get that speaker down. We'll remove this speaker. And then took all my acoustic panels down. So this is going to be kind of a grayish color. So I'm gonna put this back on auto for a second. So it's gonna get really weird. There we go. So now when I turn this around, hopefully, maybe it'll light up. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm gonna sit down for a second. Oh, here's the other thing. We replaced, so all the outlets in here we replaced with black outlets, and I've got black covers. So that'll kind of blend in better. So basically we're going with a, it's kind of like a dark gray, I believe, is the color we're going for. The trim down here at the baseboard will be white. The door will be, I'm sorry, the baseboard is going to be like a dark black. That door, as well as the trim, that trim, pretty much anything white in here will no longer be white. So we're going to change it up. We haven't painted this room in 14 years, so it's been a while. All the acoustic panels are down, so it's got the, pretty harsh slap echo in here. If I were to clap, you may be able to hear the reverb, but those will be put up sometime tomorrow. So here, I'll show you this too. This is kind of pretty cool. If you guys can see this, there we go. So let me go back to, sorry, there we go. So you should be able to see that. So that's my speaker. So my buddy that actually came down to visit, he built these a long time ago. So these are French cleats. So underneath here is like a little groove right there where there you go. Maybe you can see it. So where my thumb is, there's a groove under there. And that groove fits on these little metal brackets back here. So basically it's kind of like a French cleat, I think is what he calls it. So had to remove those. We'll cover all these seats here to kind of keep them from getting all messed up, but just wanted to kind of show you the unclean Youthman home theater. So I covered all that just to keep paint off of that. And he should be okay up there. I'll ask him tomorrow. But anyway, just want to give you a quick video. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, get it ready for tomorrow. And then hopefully I can start working on some new content, some new videos. So I hope you guys have a great week. Appreciate your support. We'll catch you in the next video. So I brought some of the components from the theater room outside. So here are the 6 trim rings from my can lights that are in the ceiling. So originally when I installed those, I never painted those. They were always white. So I figured now's a great time to do that. And then we just got a couple other air vents. And then the inside of the air vent, you can see it kind of got, you know, a little scraped up over time. So I'm just gonna put a fresh coat of paint on that. And then a couple of my grills, when I was taking them off, you can see right here, it's got some little nicks on there, so I'm gonna just lightly spray that. One thing with the grills, you definitely gotta do it really, really thin because you don't wanna clog up any of the pores on the actual grill itself to prevent sound from coming through. So I'll get these painted up and we'll get those brought back inside. All right guys, well I've got to go ahead to check out the home theater. It has been painted over the past couple days. I'll just show you down here. Got our little mess down here. The speakers are here out in the living room. But we are headed over here. So before we go in, oh yes, I love it. Dude, the walls, you guys gotta see it. So the walls are like a light gray. The back trim that used to be white is now black. The door, for those of you that used to razz me about not having the back door painted, is now painted. Now it's a satin finish, so that's gonna be a little reflective, but I think with it being black, it will still look awesome. Man, I love it. This paint is fantastic. Now, it's probably gonna be a little bright for you guys. Let me turn it down a little bit. So in my eyes, that's kind of more what I'm seeing with my own eyes. So the exposure was turned up a little bit bright. Ceiling was repainted. Probably hard to see. Got to reinstall all my speakers. Oh yeah, guys. I'm excited. I'm gonna put the camera down. We're gonna get these speakers back installed. I'll come back in just a little bit, show you with the curtains up and everything back to normal. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is install this window tint. It's kind of like a static clean. It's called Velamax. I'm gonna install it on both of these sliding glass doors because as you can see, we've got a lot of light bleed. Definitely these blackout curtains have reduced the light in here tremendously, but there's still some that kind of bleeds through. So I'm hoping by adding this on the other side of the curtains that it'll kind of take care of any remaining light, especially up top when I turn the lights off. it kind of comes through the very top opening up there in those little rings. So we're gonna get this measured on the door first. Then I've got some tools over here, just some squeegees. I've got a razor blade knife, a bottle of water, like a spray bottle that we'll be using, and just some Windex paper towels to clean it first, and then a tape measure. All right, so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna leave it. My actual window measures less than this, but I'm gonna leave it full length. I'm gonna cut this a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 inches longer than what I need. Then we'll install it from the top corner down, and then we'll just trim off the areas that we don't need. So inside here, we've got instructions, which we'll hang on to that. Pretty sure I know how to do it, but I'll still read it just to make sure, and I'll let you guys know any suggestions that they recommend there. So we're gonna unroll this. I'm gonna measure 93 inches, and we'll cut it. It's kind of cool. They do have some lines back here. I guess it makes it easier to kind of mark off your distance. All right, so we need 93 inches. It's about right there. Cool. So I'll mark it on that line. We'll get that cut. Now when you unroll the Velamax, it kind of folds up on the edges, and so they recommend placing some books around the edges and the corners to kind of relax the material. So we'll let that sit for a little while and come back in just a bit. Now before I install the film on the window, I want to give you a kind of a before and after with and without the film on the window. So here we have the lights on. Alexa, lights off. And here you can see, I'm gonna take the camera off the tripod for a second. And we'll kind of walk over here towards. So you can see at the very top, we've got light bleed coming from the top. And if I pan down to the bottom, you'll see quite a bit of light bleed down here at the bottom of the curtain. So it's coming underneath the curtain. And especially right here, we just got a big gap. I'll come over here and turn around, you can see. So we've got light that is bleeding down here, which of course I could pin that together, but I just want to see how much difference this is going to make. And then over here to the side, it's hard to see, but we've got some light bleed over here as well. So now we're going to peel this backing off of the film. I can already feel the static clinging on it. All right, it's probably best that you get 2 people, one to hold it, the other person can just pull it. So I'm gonna put some books down here on the end, hopefully to kind of hold it while I pull the rest of it off. So now we're gonna take our water bottle and just generously spray. And then we're also going to lightly spray the back side of the Velamax. So now it's kind of wet on the back side of the Velamax as well as on the window. And we're going to slide this into position. And we're going to start with the top right corner. Going to get that aligned. So the water allows us to kind of slide this around and get it in position where we want it. We want to make sure it's all the way in the corner, tucked in there really good. We're just going to use our fingers to get that aligned. And then I'm going to work my way down to the bottom. We want it as close to the edges as possible, because that's going to give us the least amount of bleed. Oh, I'm already liking that. That looks great. So we're gonna just kind of massage this, get it in place, and then we'll begin to squeegee. I'll show you that in a second. So now we're gonna take our water bottle once again, and we're just going to spray a little bit of water on the inside of this. And that way when we use the squeegee, it'll kind of slide across there a little bit easier. We're gonna start at the top with our squeegee. Just kind of pull that down. And then what we'll do is we will start in the middle and go towards the outside. And we'll do that on the right side as well as on the left side. We're just trying to get rid of any bubbles that are beneath it. Because if you got bubbles, then over time, this fabric or this material is going to want to kind of peel off. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and then we'll trim the excess off the left side as well as the bottom. So far, the hardest part has been cutting a straight line, or at least getting really, really close to the edge. So what I'm trying to do is I'm gonna take this, it's not really a squeegee, but it's what I've been using for a squeegee. It's just a kind of like a putty knife. So I'm gonna push this all the way up against the edge as far as I can, and then take my razor blade and cut along that. And then I'm just gonna work my way all the way up. But I think with a combination, even if there's a tad bit of light bleed coming around the edge with a blackout curtain in front of it, we'll never see it. All right, so I've got the first window tint installed, and honestly guys, this thing, I mean, it's blocking all the light. This is fantastic. The hardest part and the most tedious part is cutting around the edges. And I know at the top, when I went back and looked at it, there's definitely a little bit of gap up here at the very top left. I wasn't really cutting straight as I thought I was. I was basically just using the razor knife, cutting along the side, but then it would move. So what I figured out, kind of trial and error, and hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes, is I took this little spatula or this putty knife and pushed it all the way up. I'll do it this way. I pushed it all the way up against the corner, and then I used this to kind of trace a straight line. But one thing I learned too is leave the knife there, move the putty knife down, and then come down and cut some more. Leave the knife there, putty knife down, cut. And that way you've got one continuous cut instead of cutting, letting go, cutting, letting go. Because I found I had like a little pieces that were still stuck, and I'd have to go back and trim those. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the second one installed. We'll get the curtains in the front, and we'll do another test before and after to see if we have any light bleed. Okay, so I've got both of the windows tinted, and honestly, it turned out really great. This is super, super easy to install. Like I said before, probably the hardest part is getting the kind of around the edges. Pretty much right now, it looks like it's pretty pitch black, but if I turn off all the lights, you'll see there is some light leakage around the edge. Alexa, lights off. So here, I'll grab the camera once again, and you can see as I get close to the door, looking at this angle, you can see there's definitely a little bit of light leakage there. Also around the bottom edge. If I look over on this side, that's actually pretty good. You can see just a tad bit of light. This is where I began, and that's the worst part of it. So it's just not super, super close there. If I look at the right door, you can see I got a lot better there. Can barely see the light there. A little bit there. Then a little bit more on the bottom. And then definitely not as much on this side. So the second application went a lot cleaner than the first. Now before I install the curtains, there's one really important thing that I still need to do. What? You surprised that Youthman knows how to iron? And we've got one final speaker to mount, which is my surround. And this mounts just on a little custom bracket that a friend of mine made me. And it just secures on a keyhole bracket, just like that. And now for the moment of truth. Alexa, lights off. Oh yeah, pitch black, baby. All right, guys, we are almost finished with this video. So what we need to do next is I need to install some curtains that are going to match the curtains that are on the double sliding glass window. So up here you can see this has got some fabric on it, a couple of 1x2s, and then there's just a real thin piece of wood, and then it's just basically wrapped with a bed sheet. But on the other side, it's folded several pieces so that it kind of looks like curtains from the outside and doesn't just look like we boarded up the windows. But I didn't want any light coming through. And we actually did this setup probably, my goodness, probably 13 years ago when we first built the room. And originally we had curtains that were inset in here, but I wanted the decor to match that side of the room. So we're actually going to install curtains that hang outside. And then I had my mother-in-law, everybody needs a great mother-in-law. She actually made some curtains. Well, we took the original curtains and she just cut them and hemmed them for me. So these are gonna go up here just like this and hang down just above the acoustic panels. And after just a few minutes of installing, I now have matching curtains. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I produce 2 to 3 videos each week that I'm sure you'll enjoy, including some upcoming exciting reviews from Marantz. As always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.